Hey everyone, to Collect Jurassic, and I'm back with Jurassic World Rebirth toys. I am so happy to be back in my collection room, unboxing new toys for the new Jurassic World movie, Jurassic World Rebirth, coming out July 2nd. If you haven't heard of it, definitely go check out the trailer. It looks so cool, and of course, now the toys are hitting in full force. I, of course, got a ton of stuff we're going to look at today. We have the Wild Roar assortment. We have one of the gigantic Thrashers to look at, and then what I'm super stoked about is the Aerial Ambush Quetzalcoatlus. Oh my gosh, this toy, it's huge. I mean, look how big it is. Looks so cool. Can't wait to get that one out. And then, of course, the Rumble and Rampage Distortus Rex. That is the one that everyone's talking about. So can't wait to get into that one too. So yeah, all these toys, just got these from Walmart actually, which is pretty cool. So I'll put the link in my caption if you want to grab those for yourself. But let's go ahead and start ripping into these toys. We got a lot to cover. Let's jump right in. Let's see, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Let's go ahead and start with the Utahraptor here. Utahraptor has been a favorite of mine since I was a kid. Kenner did one way back. Looks a lot different than this, right? But this definitely looks like a very cool take on the species. Let's go ahead and dive right into the figure. Packaging-wise, we'll just take a quick look at this. This is my first Rebirth toy in the channel, so this is my first time looking at the actual packaging, but you can see the packaging for this one and all the Wild Roars shows Spinosaurus, but that is not always the case. Sometimes it shows the species that the figure is. In this case, not a movie dinosaur, so you're not going to have that artwork. But for Quetzalcoatlus, you'll see when we look at that, and Distortus, you'll see the artwork of those animals, but not for these non-movie figures, if you will. But yeah, pretty cool with the red and black and silver stripe idea. You got the Rebirth logo there. I like the nice clean red side with the Rebirth logo. Then the back just showing the other figures in the assortment. Scan app, which is a thing, again, of course, and then the action feature, right? So let's go ahead and open them up. Enough about the box. Let's go ahead and open up that toy. So this is the first Rebirth figure that I've opened, which is pretty cool. Even though it's not technically from the movie, it still counts. All right, let's go ahead and get poor Utahraptor's tail. And I got to be careful here. My table's real wobbly, and Distortus Rex is up there somewhat precariously. So I'm going to make sure that doesn't fall down. All right, let's go ahead and pop the tail in here. Pretty standard stuff, popping the tail in. And then let's see, this figure stands. Oh, stands really easily. Always a treat when it stands really easily. I see now that my camera is so pulled back that we're having kind of a hard time getting close to the figure. So why don't you just let me, I'm just going to go ahead and get us down a little bit lower. There. Much better. Okay, so this figure, pretty standard for a Roar size figure that Mattel has been doing since they got the license. You have the basic articulation with the legs that are ratchet. You have the arms that have the two swivels on them, and that's really it. I mean, the tail and all that's going to be. You can already see it's going to be wrapped up with the action feature, which we'll go over. So that means the mouth, all that stuff is going to be with the action feature. But detail-wise, color-wise, this guy's pretty simple. I really like his face. I think that's where my favorite part of him. He's got that bright orange feathers that really contrasts nicely with that nice dark gray. Gotta shout out the rubber teeth that Mattel does now. No more painted teeth, just rubber teeth. One of the best things they've done with the toy line is adding these rubber teeth, and it makes the toys just so much more durable, and their teeth look so much more sharp, which we like sharp teeth, right? So I love that little detail around the eye too. So you can see this orange coat kind of comes in, blends in with the rest of the figure. Other than that, gotta say, pretty disappointed with the lack of painting on the claws, on the foot claws, on the hand claws. There's sometimes you can excuse that, but for Utahraptor that's got these huge sickle claws, I mean, that's like leaving the Triceratops's horns unpainted. You really should paint these sickle claws. But other than that, paint criticism wise, which is pretty common nowadays with a lot of these Mattel figures. Still a very solid sculpt. I really like the face here. It looks kind of a nice mixture of toy and realism. Kind of reminds me of Megaraptor, which I have here just off frame here. I mean, you can see that this one has just a much more sharper, kind of more animalistic styling compared to the the Utahraptor here. So kind of prefer Mega Raptor styling. I mean, they're kind of similar dinosaurs, so you'd think they'd have a similar aesthetic. But, you know, it's still cool that this guy's a little more woolly, a little more fuzzy, if you will, our first fuzzy raptor. So action feature wise, look at all those feathers on that tail. It's like Therizinosaurus. Action feature wise, you have the tail that makes his head rotate, which he rotates very snappy, feels very responsive, and then up and down is bite. So this action feature, this sort of like pull through body, I mean, it's been around since Primal Attack. It's one of my favorites. I do wish the jaw was not tied to it. I wish that was posable, but I really like the fluid action you can get with this. It's fun. And you hear those sounds. Those sound like original noises. Oh. So maybe they are, but yeah, that's the Utahraptor. Again, one of my favorite species always since I was a kid. So cool to finally get a figure of him, even if it's not really representative of the counter version. Still pretty cool. Let's go ahead and dive into Nasutoceratops next. Won't talk about the packaging. We'll just dive right into this one. Right, we'll pop it out here. Ooh, it's got a couple extra twisty ties that the Utahraptor didn't. Bear with me here. Yeah, I know you want to get out. I'm trying to get you out. We got one more way back here. Oof. Let me just tear it out. Yeah, sometimes you just gotta tear it out, right? And then he's got his tail. All of these, of course, have that packed separately tail. Save on packaging space. I do wish sometimes the tail was longer because of that. You know, I can kind of buy the tail being shorter when we're talking about trying to fit it in a box, but when you have to pop the tail off, I feel like then you don't really have that excuse. All right, let me make sure I'm getting this in the right direction. It looks like there's a one direction I need to do this in. All right, push. There it is. All right. There's Nasutoceratops, a familiar face, right? We've gotten a figure of this one before, just once though. So we have our second ever Nasutoceratops figure. Very simple coat, this kind of like base, sort of beigey gray with this blue on top, and that's really it. I mean, that literally a two-color figure if you don't count the horns, which I believe. Hold on a second. I think these horns. No, I thought maybe they were sculpted plastic, but maybe they're still painted. I don't know. It's hard to say. No, I think they're. I can see glue here, so I think they're actually not painted. So that's cool. One of my collecting buddies will be very excited to know that the Ceratopsian horns are no longer going to be painted. Maybe. Let's hope this is setting a trend here. So, yeah, that's sculpted plastic, which means we can bang into these, and there's never going to be paint scratch in them, which makes me happy. But other than that, very simple paint job. Again, literally just like they sculpted the plastic and they painted this dark color on. So pretty simple but effective paint job. And of course you got the eye paint, but could they put more paint on this? I mean, I don't know. You tell me. It definitely gets the job done, but definitely leaves a little bit to be desired, especially when we put it next to the other Nasutoceratops, which I'm just really realizing now also has those sculpted plastic horns. So that was just a momentary improvement they did on some of these figures. That doesn't mean they're going to always do sculpted plastic horns. Sometimes they'll still do paint. But here you can see the two side by side. You can see this one's got a lot more paint going on. I count 1, 2, 3. I mean, there's underbelly paint. There's at least 4 or 5 colors here, not counting the base plastic, which is pretty cool, versus base plastic, 1 color. So definitely a huge paint budget there. You can tell the figures look, obviously one's much more colorful. However, I do like how this one looks a little more natural. And I also like a little fun detail here, how if you put the baby with them, the baby's kind of a nice blend between all of them. So yeah, if you're a hardcore collector like me and haven't missed any figures, you got yourself a nice Nasutoceratops family unit now, which is fun. I always like to do that kind of stuff with my collection if I can have a little family, right? So let's go ahead and dive into the next figure. We're going to go ahead and do Bionics. Let's just power through this one. Of course, I'm excited about it because there has some improvements over, the Bionics figures that we've been getting, but it's also probably the least exciting figure here. And if you agree with me, I don't blame you. But also, if you're a Bionics fan, I still think this one's going to be one that that you'll like and probably want to pick up because it's got, like I said, some nice improvements over the other figures by the looks of it that came before it. So let's go ahead and pop the tail on. I won't spend as much time being careful. I don't know. I'm not. My figure assembly skills tonight are failing me. I'm dusty. I'm getting back in the swing of it. So bear with me, guys. All right. Baryonyx is set back up here. And wow, what an interesting color, this orange color. I think that's why, even though I have so many Baryonyxes and I'm trying not to buy the same species over and over again, I still had to get this one because I love this bright orange color. It's just really, really cool and different for the Baryonyx. And I really like the way they did its eye. Something about its eye feels less cartoony and more like a realistic animal. And of course, you got the rubber teeth. I think this is the first Baryonyx of this size that has rubber teeth. I know there was a battle damage version that was a little bit bigger, but having this rubber teeth, on the regular size version, this definitely makes it one of the better versions of the figure. Has really nice detail on the scales and the little spines on the back. Very gator-like. I mean, you gotta love a Baryonyx. Otherwise, the figure looks pretty much identical to the way it's always looked since Fallen Kingdom. Again, with just a little bit of added detail, but the pose and everything is the same. I would think the sounds are gonna be mostly the same. So yeah, there he goes. That's cool. He's got cool. You know what? That just reminded me. I didn't do that for Nasuto, so we'll rewind here for a second after this. But yeah, he's cool. Yeah, I love playing with this action feature. Let's do it with Nasutoceratops because it is fun. So he does a little head twist, of course. So and he also does the up and down, right? That's fun. And again, very snappy and responsive. Not at all like I might break it or something. So, or that it's not going to react or get stuck. Like very snappy. So he's cool. So, now that I know that these horns can't get busted, you can really just go. Oh yeah, that's what we came here for, right? Dino fights. I know at least some people out there get into that with their toys. Not me. I like to be a little carefuler, but yeah, that's the action feature for both Baryonyx and Nasutoceratops here. Let's go ahead and dive into Maiasaura, and then you know what? I'm gonna also pause there for a second, and we'll talk about scan codes. But let's go ahead and get one more figure out because I want to get a herbivore out. We've only had one herbivore, so let's keep the scales even while we can before we get to some of the bigger figures, right? Sorry, I'm trying to get this tail off. All right. And then, ooh, he looks big. For some reason, he looks bigger than the other figures. There we go. All right, Baryonyx, stand back up. Okay, there is Maiasaura. This is a cool one. Another one I've been waiting for, probably like Utahraptor. Maiasaur is definitely one from when I was a kid. It's the classic, mama dino, right? And they did a really cool job on this one. I love the colors. I feel like out of all this wave, this one has the best use of its color budget. We have those light patterns on the stomach, that red stripe that kind of goes through the whole body. And then, of course, the face is gorgeous. We have this bright orange, not like a beak, but somewhat duck or bird-like. And then the little red around the eyes with the eye, and then the painted, the actual painted beak. So then that light color that kind of, comes throughout the body. So just a really cool use of paint. Beautiful silhouette. I mean, look at that. The mid-pose walk with the, I don't know if this is paleo accurate, but the feet look really cool the way they're posed. So, wow, just a really cool figure from the side. I wanted to do a quick comparison with Edmontosaurus because they're so similar. You can see just kind of how radically different even the sculpts are. You can see how different the detail level is compared to, you see all the different scales on the new figure in my hand versus just the line work on this one. Even the face is a little softer in Edmontosaurus and a little more detailed on Maiasaura here. So, I mean, Maiasaura just to me is just a much better figure. I really like the detail. This is just one of those very paleo accurate or paleo illustration feeling figures, I should say. Everything about it, the size of the tiny irises just feels like a living animal versus a toy, whereas Mega Raptor here, or Utahraptor here, sorry, feels a little bit more like a toy than you know, supposed to be an actual animal. So really cool job on Maiasaur Mattel. You got the action features. I like that honking noise. That's a fun one. So yeah, he also twists and turns, but mostly, you know, the up and down. I do like how he looks when he puts his head up, and I'm sure he poses, right? I guess I haven't been showing you guys the posing, but we all know how these figures pose, but I'll try to keep showing you. Yeah, his arms actually go out, so he can actually do all kinds of cool stuff. Man, this is really cool. I wish I would have got the Iguanodon down to compare with him too, because it seems like he would be compared to that, you know, similar. So really nice to have another Hadrosaur-esque herbivore from Mattel. So that concludes Wild Roar. Let's just real quick talk about scan codes. They're back, this wave of figures. But what's awesome is no more little trapdoor hidden somewhere on the body, awkwardly in the middle. They're back on the foot, which I know a lot of people will be happy about, much less intrusive. So that's Utahraptor's code there. I'll show you Baryonyx also on the foot there. Kaboom. So that's the new Baryonyx scan code for the Jurassic Facts Play app, right? You got the Nasutoceratops here. I actually don't even think, as of me filming this video, the app has even updated. So you're certainly welcome to try to scan these, but depending on when you watch this video, they might not be live. That's how new these figures are, right? Okay, so that's our 4, Nasutoceratops, Baryonyx, Utahraptor, Maiasaura. Pretty impressed so far. The paint leaves a little bit to be desired on a couple of these figures, but I'm hopeful that the rest of these figures are going to have some really cool stuff to look at. So let's go ahead and take a look at Tyrannotitan. I'm going to lower down old DREX here. Let's take a look at Tyrannotitan. This was a species that I had not heard of, but instantly fell in love with the figure when they showed the picture of it. There's something about it. Again, not a figure that feels like super paleo accurate to me, or at least like a real animal. It definitely feels more like a monster, like a design of a dinosaur versus a dinosaur. But there's some really cool stuff here, and it kind of gives me some sort of creepy survival horror, Dino Crisis vibes, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Or maybe Turok, that newer Turok they came out with, where the dinosaurs were all twisted looking. That's what this reminds me of. So pretty cool from like a sort of like different take on a prehistoric styling, I guess. So this is a gigantic Thrasher, formerly gigantic Tracker. They changed the name Tracker to Thrasher. So the figures are going to thrash, right? You got the Spinosaurus, of course, on the packaging, Star Jurassic World. The other figure in the wave, what is it? Triceratops. You know, I found out that I actually could have ordered it and maybe unboxed it with all these, but frankly, I wasn't as excited about it, so I didn't want to put off opening all this stuff just to wait for it. But that's the other figure in this wave. Maybe he'll sneak into a future unboxing video, but I love all the graphics and like the caution. Very cool. Total thrashing action. So let's see this total thrashing action in action, right? So we'll go ahead and pop this out. I don't think, yeah, he's barely in there. No electronics on this figure. This is purely plastic action figure. So you can see he's got a pretty like ready to go pose. Not a lot required to get him posed. Paint wise, I do really like the paint on this figure. That base color, of course, feels very dino friendly, but I love the dark that goes through the tail, and like the way they did all this sort of sharp striping all the way down to the tail. Technically the tail, the tip of it isn't painted, it's just a different color plastic, but it looks like the whole figure's got paint on it. And then of course the head, right? You have this like brilliant orange, like sort of gizzard thing that just looks totally gnarly. It looks like a turkey or something. Oh, I love it. And then it goes into this jaw that has like this splash of like orange yellow. Oh, just such a cool figure. I mean, I hope you guys can tell. You can hear my voice. I think this figure is awesome. Such a cool idea to have like this spiky little thing hanging down. Just really cool sculpt. Even has like wrinkles in it. Then of course you have the rubber teeth, the very intentional overbite. Someone will probably say that's not accurate, but I definitely think that was a design decision to sort of have the teeth overbite like that. Kind of gives him a chompier look, right? He's got more quills on his back. I mean, oh man, I just really like the design of him. He feels just very, I don't know, lizardy, I guess, which I don't know if a dinosaur is supposed to feel lizardy, but this one definitely does. Just notice he's got quills on his arms, little quills on his thighs, and then of course his tail's like almost all spiky quills. He's almost like a dinosaur that just barely started to get feathers, maybe. So action feature wise, he does it's kind of the same thing as all the other figures, just no electronics. And he does, oh, his arms move. That's new. Okay. So twisting also makes his arms move. So does that mean his arms don't have articulation? That is what that means. Well, that's kind of a bummer. For people that like to pose their arms, you're going to have to get creative with this because they are tied to the action feature. They won't stay up or down. His legs are articulated, which is, I guess, nice, but that's it. Everything else is going to be tied to the action feature, but at least the action feature looks really cool, really smooth. The upward chomp, the downward chomp, and then the side chomps with the swipe. So a lot of fighting. I mean, you know, again, I'm an adult collector, so I literally put these things on my shelf, but I know kids love to fight with these things, and I can imagine that this is just a really cool toy to fight with because it's got this awesome arm movement as well as the up and down chomps. So, oh, and if you hold the feet and like pose it up with the legs, you can kind of do it from up high too. So yeah, I really like this one. I do wish the articulation was a little bit more, what's the word? Flexible, but man, what a cool figure. Really cool design. His skin code is gonna be right down there on his foot. So there's Tyrannotitan skin code, and that is the gigantic Thrasher Tyrannotitan, just a little bit bigger than those other figures, but no electronics. Whew. All right, do we need a breather? That's a lot of dinosaurs open so far. Should we take a break and maybe open up a flying reptile? We'll go ahead and jump over to the Aerial Ambush Quetzalcoatlus, whatever you call it. I call it a Quetzalcoatlus. I hope that's correct. This one is, this one's truly my first Rebirth figure, if you think about it, because this one's actually in the movie. You know, the other ones I just opened, none of those are in the movie, but not this figure. This figure is in the movie. This dinosaur, rather, or this flying reptile, I just got done being carefully choosing my words. This one is in the movie, and it's huge in the movie. I know the Quetzalcoatlus was in Dominion, but I think they're really making even the trailer's talking about how it's as big as a fighter jet. I mean, really trying to bring home that sense of scale. And let me tell you, the toy does it. I'm going to have to grab a human figure. Shoot, did I not grab one? We'll have to get a human figure in here so we can do a comparison, because this thing is just massive. Wow. But yeah, the box here, I think I noted earlier on the video, this one actually has the customized artwork for Quetzalcoatlus in the corner. Otherwise, got all the other, things we've been looking at today with the packaging. It does have a little diagram with the 24-inch. That's 2 feet wingspan. Pretty cool. Also talks about how the wings expand and there's a different stance, the different action features, all here. Just so cool. But enough about, what just fell over? Utahraptor. Enough about this figure in the box. Let's get this out. Let me see if I can push these guys back here so they're somewhat, fall resistant, as I excitedly get out Quetzalcoatlus, right? All right, so what do we got here? What do we got here for packaging? Looks like we just have a couple things to snip through. Nothing too bad. Okay. One more down here. Now, I appreciate that they did it in black, so it doesn't really change the design of the figure. So, all right, I should really look at the instructions. This is not something I'm familiar with. It looks like you just press a button. I don't know. Maybe we'll just wing it, right? See what I did there? Wow, this thing is awesome. All right, let's go ahead and see. Oh, okay. So they literally just bend down. Okay. Wow. What a intuitive toy too. Oops. As it pops down. Okay. So I've heard maybe some of these are a little sensitive with their locking mechanism. Maybe that's one I got. No, I think. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, there you go. We're getting a live demo of just how sensitive this action feature can be. But you're supposed to press this button to activate it, so maybe it just needs to get worn in a little bit. All right, let's carefully try to pose this guy down so he doesn't activate and we can look at him. Okay. Whew. Well, that might be factoring into my evaluation of this figure, is how sensitive this locking feature is, but looks like it's going to behave for a little bit while we talk about this beautiful figure, this tall figure. You can see just how tall this thing is. We'll do comparisons to the other Quetzalcoatluses here in a little bit, but just alone the fact that it can do this standing pose. Whoa! That scared me. The fact that it can do this standing pose, I hope in time it can hold this standing pose a little better. I'm definitely a little not disappointed, just surprised that it doesn't hold a little better. But hopefully, again, playing with it a little more, we'll give it some more holding power. So, but yeah, I mean, we'll go ahead and just open it and talk about it, so we're not waiting for it to pop off. Has these really cool fabric wings, like very cool. They have this print on them that has, I imagine something like the movies, like sort of bluish veiny wings, but they have that all printed on that. It looks like it's going to be pretty durable too. It feels sort of almost like plastic Tyvek or nylon or something. So definitely not something I see ripping. It's all stitched in here. Obviously, if you're real rough with it, then of course that could always happen. But I can't see that, I can't see just a normal play and wear and tear having any kind of effect on that. Sort of like some of the older Kenner figures really held up if you took somewhat care of them. The fabric on the wings really held up. And honestly, it looks a lot better, I think, when they're fabric versus plastic. Especially if you get the wind in them, very cool. So, elsewhere on the figure, this thing's still big. I'm trying to get it in the frame. Paint wise, there's not a lot going on at all from the bottom to the neck. It's literally just like black, dark gray plastic and these blue fabric wings. But when you get to the head, that's where they really spent a lot of the paint budget. You can see the tiny pupils in there that look really cool. The little white stripes and the quills on top. The like burst of like yellowish orange down here, very cool. Obviously, probably all based on the film. A little bit of splash of color notching on the beak. The beak itself's got a little bit of light color, and I think maybe there's teeth. It's got the tongue in there too. You can see like a little tongue's even got little molded details on it. So really cool. I like the nostril too on the beak. So very beautiful looking design that they have in this film, and of course the toy therefore looks amazing too. You can see there I was pressing the button. There's two buttons. One of them activates the somewhat sensitive wing feature that we're going to mess with and see if we can get a little tighter here. And then we have the other button, the top one, that activates the mouth. Love that squawking noise. And then I think it's got those 3 noises. Yeah, I love the squawking one the most, though. That's definitely my favorite. I just noticed the feet have notches on them, too, or have a rotation on them, too, so you can... maybe he can stand a little bit better on his feet now that I know I can pose his feet. And also, it looks like he's got little posed fingers that he can do on his hands, too. So all things that maybe can help me pose him a little better when he's standing, like maybe now that I have the feet a little more, maybe, I don't know. It's hard to say what it is that, if it's the weight of the figure that, well, I guess I can put the head down too, that helps. So yeah, that already feels like he's posed a little bit more the way he should be, and hopefully he holds his pose. I don't think I'm going to be able to like walk around. You can walk as long as you're gentle, but I think if you get real rowdy with him in this pose, he's always going to want to kind of like open up. But again, if you're just light with it, I think my figures are already kind of tightening up and not really, I'm able to pick them up and set them down, and it's not really having popping out like when it was when I first started. But let's go ahead and try this takeoff. Let's just say he sees something in the sky. Oh, I pressed the button prematurely. He sees something in the sky. He's gonna take off. Whew. Oh, I pressed the wrong button. I said he's gonna take off. Oh, so cool. Just like the Kenner toy with the swooping wings. Those ones clicked out a little bit differently, but I love that. That is so fun. I love how it just pops up. Just boom. Just pops out. So cool. So hopefully the action feature or the locking feature just continues to tighten up on mine. I can see that being a source of frustration for kids if they're not able to stand the figure. But honestly, most kids are going to want to be just doing it just so they can open the wings and oh, I wonder if there's any posability with these. No, just with the action feature. So you have to make them flap yourself. But man, what a massive figure. Let's go ahead and just do a quick comparison size-wise to the Dominion Quetzalcoatlus. We have that right here. Also a pretty cool figure. You can see the design is just totally different on these guys. Their heads could not be any different. They have different, even like different protrusions, different colors. All of it's different. But I actually really like both of them. Hard to say which one I like more, but this Rebirth one is real cool. But never mind the design. It's the size I really want to compare here. Again, we're looking at this 2-foot wingspan compared to the Dominion one. You can just see here how much smaller it is. We can also do a front view. I think that would also be pretty dramatic in terms of telling you just how much smaller. Well, my hands are in the way. Get my hands out of the way. You can see how much bigger it is than yeah, that's even better. It's just a really massive figure compared to that one. And then of course we have the first ever, I think this was Dino Rivals, this Quetzalcoatlus. A really fun one. I've always loved the crazy bright colors of this one. Very tropical. It feels sort of paleo accurate. I love the big thick beak on this one, but it's also similarly dramatically smaller than the new one. There's a little side-by-side you can see. It's about, I would say, 20 or 30% smaller at least. Kind of the same size as the Dominion one. Whereas the Rebirth one is just huge. Again, size of a fighter jet, right? Let's go ahead and get these guys off. And we'll do one last comparison. Let me go ahead and grab a human figure here real quick. All right, we have a hapless Jurassic Park worker here to help us do our size comparison. We'll go ahead and put our guy in his pose. So you can see here, I'll put his head down, just how big this thing is compared to a human. It is massive. And then that's just the standing pose, of course. Wingspan wise, it's going to, oops, keep hitting the wrong button there. There we go. Wingspan wise, it's just absolutely massive compared to a human. So hopefully it's that big in the movie, because that's going to be really cool to see. And before I forget, can we get a view of that skin coat on the inner thigh here? There it is. I mean, I love that there's not some big goofy trap door on this guy, because that would just kill what is otherwise a very cool figure. I just love that the fact that it's got this standing pose is just really cool. Something that we've never had with Mattel. Like a flying reptile that truly stands, and not one that you're kind of posing awkwardly to stand. So there it is, the Aerial Ambush Quetzalcoatlus. Very cool. Locking features, hopefully something that, again, just keeps getting stickier the more I play with it, because it is very sensitive right now. But let's go ahead and head to the final figure, and maybe for some of you, that main event. This is the Rumble and Rampage Distortus Rex. Oh my gosh, what a figure, what a design. I really don't even know what to make of this thing. We've seen it in the trailer. It looks terrifying. People on the internet are going crazy about it. Everyone was super looking forward to seeing the toy, and lo and behold, here it is on my review table, and I don't even really know a lot about this animal yet. I'm hoping there's another trailer that'll maybe give us another peek, but what I do know is in the trailer that we see, it's very mysterious, it's very terrifying looking, and it's very strange looking, and I would say the toy lives up to that, but it does get me excited. Seeing this awesome artwork gets me excited too. It definitely looks like some sort of beluga whale, rancor, T-Rex monstrosity, but man, this toy does some cool stuff, some pretty vicious stuff. That gets me excited for what this thing will do in the movie, which then gets me excited for the toy again. So it's like it's not a vicious cycle, it's the cycle of movie toys. You just get excited and then you kind of just feed off of that, right? But anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at this box. We got the artwork, of course, with Distortus on there. I already showed you, looking very, very ominous with the eye and the just, you can really get a sense of how twisted all of its anatomy is. And then, of course, the appendages, all the multiple appendages here. And then you have the Jurassic World Rebirth logo, of course. We have a Trimey, which I'm going to go ahead and show you that once we get it out. On the back, again, they're talking to you about the slash attack, which is just awesome. And then the Rage and Roar. So you'll see that Rage here in a little bit. And then other dinosaurs you can get, Mosasaurus and Spinosaurus, which I need to track down. I just noticed this is cool. It's got this little symbol up here that says this is on land. I think do all the toys have that? Did I just miss? I did miss that. This one's got air. You can see it's air, which makes sense. Look at this. Sorry, I'm reaching out here for my trash. Even Bionics has the land scene air, so that's kind of a fun detail I didn't know. So yeah, Distortus Rex here. A land animal. I wish this told us more about this figure, but we'll just have to see the movie, right? But yeah, there it is, Distortus Rex. Let's go ahead and pop this bad boy or girl. I'm pretty sure it's a boy, but let's go ahead and pop this thing open. I'm not sure how many. Looks like it's maybe got screws on the bottom, which is pretty common with these big feature figures to have screws like that. So let's go ahead and oops. Pop those. I wonder how many there are. Is there just one, or maybe there's just one? Nope. Where is he popped in? Oh, he's still got one more thing down here. Okay. I think that was the last one. Okay. Ooh, man, this is a big figure. Okay. Ooh. Yeah, this is a big boy. Get this thing posed. Get this thing. I don't know what the articulation is, so bear with me here. Okay. Whew. Wow, that is a massive figure. This is the Distortus Rex, otherwise known as the DREX. Wow. The colors here, I was suspect when I first saw pictures of this figure, but I really do like this light color and the way that it makes the whole underside of the figure pop, especially that bottom jaw and those two little arms here. These arms are just dangly, which I think is because once you'll see with the action feature, it'll probably activate them a little bit. So these little dangly arms, you can really see how this thing is maybe supposed to be just a T-Rex when you kind of squint and see that head there and those two arms. But no, this thing's got all kinds of bulbousness and sort of just massive bulk to it that makes it a freak, besides having just an extra set of arms, right? Speaking of extra set, we talked about the little ones, but the big ones here sort of have this darker color. They're rubbery, which I think is nice. The bottom looks like it's cast plastic, so don't have to worry about scratches there. The back feet look very much like dinosaur T-Rex feet. Pretty classic look there. Everything from the calf to the hip. It's got nice little plastic claws. Oop, there's your scan code. Don't want to forget that. There's your DREX scan code. But plastic claws, which again, saves on paint and also lets you have colored claws, which is cool. Then it's got this darker color all down its back and through its head. And then a little bit of dark around the eyes there with the iris. Doesn't look overly angry, but definitely looks freaky and mean for sure. You can see all these wrinkles. I noticed it's got sort of like scars or like crosshatch marks on the tail, which there's got to be something. I'm sure we'll find out. But it looks like it's got some like scratches on its back too. So maybe this thing has gotten in some battles. Again, we really don't know until we watch the movie. Articulation wise, I do think, yep, the legs have some articulation, sort of like a T-Rex. Looks like we got an on-off switch there too, which is this an on-off Trimey? Maybe there's a Trimey. We'll see. I just turned it to a different mode, so we'll find out. This arm is tied to the action feature. The looks like the elbow isn't, which is fun. So, oh, or the shoulder. So those aren't tied to it. So you can actually pose this. Wow, which is cool. So I'm going to keep it like they had it, sort of maybe like that. They kind of had it walking on his hand in the box. This arm doesn't have elbow articulation at all. It's just a walking arm, so think of it more like another foot, because that's essentially what it is. But this one on the other side is a true arm. Tail and head and all that is going to be tied to the action feature. So let's go ahead and talk about that action feature. We got two different action features on here. We have the, what they call it. I love what they called it. They called it the slash attack and the rage and roar. So let's go ahead and try that rage and roar. You guys ready for this? Button on the tail. Here we go. So you can see he does this sort of shaking motion, very much like the roaring T-Rex we had from Mattel for Camp Cretaceous. Had the same idea of like this shaking roar. Looks like it sort of reacts to the sound effects too. It kind of changes. So he's definitely like kind of like, I don't know, twitching with the noises he's making here. Let's try it again. You can see how it kind of slows down and speeds up. So I think that's probably what I had on when I had the other mode on, or it just does it just does the one thing. This one's a little more nuanced. There's a switch here. If you're watching this, make sure if you get this figure, you turn the on. Don't leave it on try me mode, because then you get these more nuanced controlled shakes. See how it kind of goes slow and fast? I love it. That is so cool. And you can keep doing it while you chomp too. So, and then this is what I think is just so cool is this slash it does. It just looks so like just savage. So we'll go ahead and put our poor park worker here. Sorry, bud. You're gonna get smashed. So yeah, it's not awesome. It does this awesome just pow. And because all of this is cast plastic, you can really just like slam on it and not worry about damaging the figure or scratching paint. So let's give this guy one more. See ya. Boom. So man, that's awesome. I hope it swats something in the movie. And then of course you can also do the So yeah, that chomping feature is basically all you can do with the tail, and then you can also do the you can thrash it both ways, but his arm only lifts up in the one way. So even though you're doing it this way, the arm doesn't lift up, only lifts up in that one direction. So really cool though. Just a very strange looking animal, right? Strange looking design, but you know, pretty massive too. I mean, I got the worker next to it. You can see it's pretty big, but I think it stacks up also pretty big next to, you know, the other hybrids, right? Like we put it next to the Indominus Rex here, and you can see Mattel's Indominus Rex. It's definitely almost as long, certainly bulkier and taller. So just not quite as long as the Indominus Rex, but we're gonna go ahead and see if we can get the whole family for a family photo. We also have the Scorpius Rex, previously my favorite hybrid, and you can see just how massive Distortus is to Scorpius Rex. This is the new Scorpius Rex figure. But yeah, he's pretty big. And then lastly, we have Indoraptor. And this is actually kind of a bigger figure for Indoraptor. I feel like this isn't even the accurate size, but it's my favorite. So that's why I have it for comparison. You can see still that DREX is just much bigger than all of them. So really just the Indoraptor with the long tail. I'm anxious to compare it to the Power Devour T-Rex figure coming out for Rebirth. I feel like that's the best comparison with the T-Rex we can make. Anything else, you know, it's not the same T-Rex, it's probably Rexy. So I'm anxious to do that comparison. But here's your comparison to all of the hybrids, or rather freaks of engine, all the different ones we've had over the years. It's definitely a common thing, but you know, up until this point, they've been basically just scary looking dinosaurs. But Rebirth is promising something totally different with you know, whatever this freak of nature is, this monstrosity. But definitely getting this toy, seeing that vicious shaking roar, and then this crazy punch is just, it makes me more excited for what kind of like terror and damage this thing's gonna do. It's gonna get some pretty cool kills. Is it gonna, you know, yeet somebody, you know, sort of like the Therizino did? I'm excited to see, but definitely a crazy looking animal, but definitely also a pretty cool looking toy. So that is the Mattel Jurassic World Rebirth Distortus Rex. Just rounding this out, we already looked at the Aerial Ambush Quetzalcoatlus, the gigantic Thrasher Tyrannotitan, and then the full Wild Roar assortment, which of course included Maiasaura, what do we say, Utahraptor, oh no, my wing, Utahraptor, Bayonyx, and then Nasutoceratops. So a nice mix of herbivores, species, or not species rather, but like, you know, land, air, and sea. Just a good mix for my big first you know, a haul of Jurassic World Rebirth figures. Took me quite a while to get through them all, but there's just so much cool stuff to talk about. This is just, again, a fantastic lineup. I really liked a lot of what Mattel is bringing here, so cannot wait to get my hands more Mattel Rebirth toys. That Spinosaurus, of course, that's one I'm really looking forward to. And the sets with human figures. I love that stuff. So this is just the first, what I'm hoping of many Rebirth toy unboxing videos. So if you enjoyed this and you aren't already, please subscribe to my channel. Stick around. I got more where this came from. And again, if you're looking for these toys, head to my caption. I'll link you to the toy checklist where I keep all the links for all the toys, these ones and ones to come. So check that out too. But I think that's all I got. Again, I'm Tim with Collect Jurassic. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.